Cam Rogers here, taking a look at the Colts preseason profile, and let's zone in on the key additions. Not too many headliners per se. Denico Autry provides some ability on that front line. He had an average grade according to Pro Football Focus last season. He'll play alongside Al Woods. We're still waiting for Eric Ebron to emerge, but Jack Doyle is the top line tight end for the Colts, so perhaps there's not as much pressure for Ebron to perform in Indianapolis compared to playing in the Motor City for the Detroit Lions. Meanwhile, Ryan Grant was going to sign with the Ravens, then failed a physical, we think. He's no more than a wide receiver number 3 in my eyes. And of course, you have Quentin Nelson, who I think was the best overall draft pick out of this entire class. He is NFL ready. He's going to be a Pro Bowler in the National Football League, so watch out for him. Now, in terms of key losses, well, there were a few important ones here. Frank Gore, of course, Pro Football Hall of Famer, no doubt about it. Take a look at Johnathan Hankins as well, and it's kind of interesting. He's still unsigned for some reason. He's a really solid interior defender. I won't even rule out Hankins returning to the Indianapolis Colts. And then Rashaan Melvin, now a member of the Oakland Raiders. Melvin was easily the best cornerback for the Colts last year. With him gone, the secondary, in my eyes, at least at corner, is a little exposed here. So offseason grade of C-. They really didn't get better. But GM Chris Ballard and Indianapolis appear to not really be in a rush, shall we say, to be Super Bowl 53 contenders. So maybe they're playing the long game a little bit right now, just trying to get their quarterback, Andrew Luck, ready to roll and back into the regular season reps, because he didn't have any back in 2017. So there you go, some of the key losses there for Indianapolis. Overall offseason grade of C-. Let's take a look at the preseason schedule here for Indianapolis, zoning in on that Week 3 game, the dress rehearsal against the San Francisco 49ers, and the big-time question is, will Andrew Luck play? We do know he's going to be a full go for training camp, which is good news. Now, there will be some built-in days off for Andrew Luck. I'll get more into that later in the program. And then I am a big-time offensive line enthusiast, so I'm looking at Quentin Nelson versus DeForest Buckner on the interior of that line of scrimmage. Nelson, welcome to the NFL, my friend. If you can take on Buckner, good things are coming for you in your career. Now, the full preseason schedule here. We got Seattle in Week 1, then Baltimore, followed by San Francisco, the game I just talked about, and then wrapping things up against the Cincinnati Bengals in Week 4. All right, so let's take a look at the training camp storylines, and apologies for trying to get a little too cute here, but how much luck do we really get during training camp? Now, as I mentioned, the plan is that Andrew Luck will be getting starting reps. Andrew Luck will also have built-in days off. So part of the schedule, if you will, Andrew Luck will not be, participating in these practices as much as the other starters. And with good reason. We didn't see him at all in 2017. Coming back from a shoulder issue. Recently reported that Andrew Luck was throwing at a Stanford camp recently with Chester Rogers. So good news overall in terms of the Andrew Luck story that has been relatively negative overall. So for Andrew Luck, in the recent positivity with his health, good news for Indianapolis, good news for their franchise quarterback. And if the Colts have any chance at being a playoff contender, very much going to be on the shoulders, no pun intended there, of Andrew Luck. Next up on the list, that young secondary. Is it going to develop? It better, with Rashaan Melvin no longer around here. So the secondary is actually going to be really interesting to watch here. So there's a lot of promise for second-round pick Quincy Wilson in his second season. He has an opportunity to be the guy at corner. Safety will be really interesting. Malik Hooker and Clayton Geathers both on the safety line. And then you've got Nate Harrison, who appears to be a nice, really solid slot guy for Indianapolis, too. So, by the way, injury report there on Malik Hooker. Doesn't look like we'll see him until August sometime. So keep that in mind there. But we'll see how this young secondary kind of develops, because I think it's going to be a work in progress, and understandably so. A lot of these players are, not exactly true NFL veterans. So for Indianapolis, could be some growing pains in the back end there. And then new coaches all over the place for Indianapolis. Frank Reich is the new sheriff in town. You've got Sirianni, who's the new offensive coordinator. Eberflus sets in as the new defensive coordinator. And how will all of these new coaches mesh? When you have turnover like that for an NFL team, sometimes it takes some time to really get your bearings down. So definitely a storyline I'm tracking there. All right, let's take a look at the regular season schedule for Indianapolis. Here is the first half: Cincinnati, Washington, at Philadelphia, and then Houston. Followed by at New England, that's a Thursday night. Then they travel to MetLife to take on the Jets. They'll stay in the state of, or excuse me, they'll actually go to Indianapolis to take on the Buffalo Bills. And then they go at Oakland in Week 8. So overall, yeah, you got the defending champs there. Yeah, you've got the New England Patriots, but not a daunting schedule by any means. Next up, second page, Jaguars, they're tough. The Titans, they should emerge. Jaguars again a couple of weeks later. That's a really tough quadrant right there. Then at Houston, take on the Dallas Cowboys, New York Giants, and then wrap things up against the Tennessee Titans. In terms of Super Bowl 53 hopes for the Indianapolis Colts, let's just say they ain't Super Bowl contenders. Plus 7,000 odds right now. My AFC South prediction for Indianapolis, I have them finishing last. I think the other three teams in that division, the Jaguars, the Texans, and the Titans, all are legit playoff contenders. Meanwhile, the Colts, and I think Colts fans, are really just hoping for a healthy season from Andrew Luck. I don't think the fans out there in Indy are asking too much as we stand, but I could be wrong. Where will the Colts finish in the AFC South? Let me know in comments. I want to hear from you guys. And while you're at it, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel as you see the link at the bottom of your screen, youtube.com/chatsportstv.